Alliance Live. Self-Management Fund, Resilience, Recovery and Development. What have we learnt? Maja Mitchell-Grigorjeva, Delivery and Development Manager, Bipolar Scotland.
Hi everyone, my name is Maja Mitchell-Grigorjeva and I'm a Delivery and Development Manager with Bipolar Scotland. So we are Scotland's national charity that supports people who live with a mood disorder called bipolar, alongside supporting their friends and family and carers as well. So similar to Anne, I'm also going to be talking to you about a peer support project, which is quite nice. You know, we've got a bit of a theme already for today, you know, the sort of power of peer, which is something that we're really passionate about and has really informed a lot of the services we've tried to develop for the last 30 years, really, whilst we've been around. So we were very lucky to receive some funding from the National Lottery and also the Alliance, which last year allowed us to develop and launch a brand new service for Bipolar Scotland called Beyond Diagnosis. And in order to help promote the service, we actually had a short video made that talks people through kind of what the service is all about and what kind of support people can get from us. So to save you having to listen to me, I'm actually going to play that video for you next. Hopefully it should work okay. So we'll have a wee look at that and then I can tell you a bit more about what we're doing.
At Bipolar Scotland, we understand that receiving a diagnosis of bipolar can be life-changing. And you may have been struggling with the symptoms of bipolar for a long time before receiving a diagnosis. Trying to navigate this can leave you feeling isolated, worried, and uncertain about the future. Beyond Diagnosis is a new service from Bipolar Scotland that will help you explore ways to move forward. Our support team all live with bipolar and understand how difficult it can be, but also know how possible it is to live a happy and fulfilling life. Working alongside you by phone or video, we will help you identify what's important in your life and how best we can support you. It might be about having the time and space to talk about your experiences to someone who understands, about increasing your confidence in speaking with others about your bipolar, about understanding the help you are entitled to, or about getting support to navigate work, studies, or relationships. We understand that bipolar doesn't just affect you. We can extend our support to engage with the people who are important to you. If you are an adult living in Scotland who has been recently diagnosed with bipolar, then we want to hear from you. Visit bipolarscotland.org.uk.
So the reason that we wanted to develop a service like Beyond Diagnosis is because we felt there was a real gap in terms of the information and support that people receive after what is a very life-changing diagnosis. There's quite a frightening statistic, which is that on average, it can take someone actually up to 10 years to be correctly diagnosed with bipolar. So if you can imagine that someone has potentially been living with the symptoms of bipolar for quite a long time before actually getting that diagnosis to allow them to get the correct care and treatment. And what people with bipolar told us was that oftentimes they would have an appointment with a psychiatrist, they'd be put on medication and it would sort of be, we'll see you again in 6 months. And people were kind of left feeling like, wow, what does this mean for me? You know, suddenly you have this label, you have this mental illness that you're told, is not going to go away. And people are struggling to know how to manage it. On this next screen here, you can see a selection. I've done sort of a word cloud with some of the most common words and phrases that have come from people who are looking to access support from Beyond Diagnosis. You can see that there's a general theme of people feeling really isolated and alone, of people struggling to understand their diagnosis, just as at a basic level of what bipolar is and how to manage it, as well as, what does that diagnosis actually mean for them? And people also feeling really desperate for some support as they work to move forward and learn how to manage this condition. So that's where we felt that by linking people in with others who have been living with bipolar and living well with bipolar for quite a long period of time, we felt like that could maybe make a significant difference in the outcomes that people who had the diagnosis would maybe experience. So our hope for Beyond Diagnosis, in terms of our outcomes, what we want to achieve with the service is that people newly diagnosed with bipolar feel better able to self-manage their condition. We hope to address the loss of confidence that can often come with struggling with your mental health. So we're hoping to help people to increase their self-esteem. We want to help people feel less isolated. We want to help people to feel more empowered to make decisions about their care and treatment. And we also want to help people feel more optimistic for the future. And so integral to us achieving those outcomes, we knew was going to be the really important part for us was all about, recruiting those peer workers and volunteers, those very, very important people who are sharing their time and knowledge and experience with our peers who are accessing the service. So with the amazing funding we received, we were able to recruit 3 part-time peer workers, so 1 full-time equivalent, which is not a lot if you consider that this is a national service across the whole of Scotland. So we knew that recruiting volunteers was going to be really important to this project. So with the funding we got, we were also able to recruit a volunteer manager, and we've got an absolutely fantastic volunteer manager who has so far managed to recruit a growing team of more than 25 peer volunteers, which is quite incredible. We were really foreseeing that we would have a lot of challenges with this because it's quite a specific ask. We're looking for someone who's in the right place to kind of share really personal things with another person, but also the fact they have to be living with bipolar themselves. But we've been really overwhelmed with just the amount of interest from people. And when people come to volunteer with us, time and time again, what they say is, I wish a service like this had existed when I got my diagnosis, which really reinforces why we're doing this. We had sort of soft launched the service in about July last year, and it took us a few months to really get going with things. But to date, we've had 54, I say referrals, but it's more inquiries. We don't have sort of a very convoluted or long referral service. We try to make it as easy to access as possible, but we've been delighted that we've had 54 people reach out to us for support. To date, we've even had 18 peers who have finished receiving support from us, which is amazing. So they've kind of achieved their outcomes or what they wanted to get from the service and have been able to leave the service. And we've had referrals from 17 local authorities, but obviously there are 32 local authorities in Scotland. So for us, that gives us a little bit of a steer in terms of where do we need to increase the awareness of us as an organisation and also of the Beyond Diagnosis service. In terms of the impact, so obviously what's been really important is to try to evaluate the service. So what we've done is we've developed an outcomes measurement tool. We've also created, we have a case study, and we're hoping to do more of those, as well as seeking feedback from people who have actually accessed the service to help us to be able to develop things and make sure that it's as good as it can be. So I just wanted to share with you on screen here some of the comments that we've had from peers that have accessed the service, which has just been so encouraging to see. And I really just want to emphasize again that this is 100% down to our amazing peer workers and volunteers and just their passion, their dedication, their patience, and the desire to make sure that no one in Scotland has to go through a diagnosis of bipolar alone. In terms of our learning so far, there's been a lot, which has really been quite exciting. I've put on screen here that patience is key. So one of the things we found is that although people will inquire with us about access and peer support, sometimes it can be quite challenging to actually engage with that person, to set up that, to have that initial meeting. And so we definitely understood that for people with a new diagnosis, they're maybe going through a lot in their life. They're on new medication. There's maybe, some changes in their employment situation and their housing. It can sometimes be a little bit chaotic. So obviously our peer workers, having been there before, what they really emphasize is just the importance of patience and a gentle approach, reassuring approach of letting people know that we're here for them and not giving up. If someone doesn't get back to us after one phone call or one text, it's that balance of we don't want to sort of annoy people, but also just kind of gently letting people know we are here, and when you're ready, we're here to support you with that. In terms of the length of support, so you'll have seen from the video that we thought we could offer up to 6 months of support for someone. And whilst some people do appreciate that longer term support, we have also found that for some people, what they've wanted is just maybe 1 or 2 meetings with a peer worker or peer volunteer. And what they've been looking for is maybe a little bit of reassurance, or perhaps they had a specific question or concern they wanted to get a little bit of input on. So that's been quite interesting. Obviously, we weren't sure how it was going to go in terms of doing peer support online and over video and telephone, but we've been delighted to see that actually it's been going incredibly well. And the fact that you are meeting with someone either over the phone or video doesn't seem to detract away from the peer support that people are getting. So that's been quite interesting. We've also learned that, we believe that this post-diagnosis support is really vital. We're seeing that in the kind of feedback that we're getting from people, and it's been really encouraging and sort of, just helps us to kind of keep pushing the service and keep trying to raise awareness so that more people can get support. And what we've also learned, and what we try and promote, is this idea that bipolar is a deeply personal and unique experience for each person living with the condition. So the way we work with a person, it's going to differ from one person to the next. So we try and keep that approach of using our peer support principles, being really person-centered in how we're working with someone. And of course, our peer workers and peer volunteers are very well placed to do this because they know exactly what it feels like. So what does the future look like for us? We absolutely want to really push the service, increase awareness of who we are and what we do. To help with this, we've started creating some new literature, posters and leaflets that we want to distribute. We've been able to start going out to more events, which has been great. Obviously, with things relaxing with COVID-19, it's been really good to be invited to more kind of opportunities to go out and meet people. We try and take advantage of attending as many online forums and groups as we can. We also recently connected with the Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre because they have a cluster group that's focused on using technology in mental health. So they're a group that we've recently connected with and are hoping to maybe share a little bit about what we do and maybe get a little bit of input from them as well. So we're really, we're very enthusiastic about the future. We're looking forward to continuing to grow the service, continuing to learn as we work with more peers. And we're just really proud of what we've achieved so far. And yeah, that is it from me just now. More than happy to take any questions anyone might have.
Alliance Live. Health and Social Care Alliance Scotland. www.alliance-scotland.org.uk